Russell. You got an interview. Okay, about your personal life. Where were you born?
I was born in the small town of Trellick, Wales in the UK.
Okay, so what was your childhood like?
Well, it was a rough childhood because a couple years after I was born, my mother and sister passed away. And 2 years after that, my father also passed away. And then 2 years after that, my grandfather passed away.
Sorry.
Anyways,
So I've heard that you had a lot of interest in mathematics. How did you grow to have a deep passion for it?
well, I was first introduced to Euclidean geometry when I was 11 years old. So ever since then, mathematics was my one and only true love, which is why I divorced my 4 other wives. Bertrand! What are you doing? Just kidding.
Oh, so you've been married and divorced 4 times.
Yes, indeed.
So I also heard you were acquainted with Albert Einstein.
Yeah, it was lit!
Besides being a prominent mathematician and philosopher, it seems as though you are well involved in politics as well.
Yes, I wrote a lot on anti-war, and I even tried to run for a position in the government as well.
Can you tell us more about your story?
Sure, man.
He's gonna tell us about history.
My name is Bertrand Arthur William Russell, otherwise known as 3rd Earl Russell. As I've already said before, I was born on May 18th, 1872 in Ravenscroft, in Trellick, Monmouthshire, UK. The next few years were rough for me, and you already know why. In 1890, I went to Trinity College in Cambridge. There, I met Whitehead, who was my mentor and eventual partner in our work of Principia Mathematica. Yeah, we proved 1 + 1 = 2. Dog, know what I'm saying? 3 years later, in 1893, I got awarded the Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics. Easy as pie. Ha! Ha! Years later, in 1899, I was appointed a lecturer at Cambridge. In 2 quick years, I came back to Cambridge and became a lecturer again. In 1905, I proposed my theory of descriptions. It's considered one of my most important contributions to the world of linguistic philosophy. It's the center of attention in analytic philosophy. It basically involves the definite and indefinite articles like the, a, and an, and what those articles tell. In 1907, I ran for parliament, and like 2 other times, but I'll get to that later. I visited Harvard in 1914 and taught logic classes and theory of knowledge, also known as TOK. I was fined 100 British pounds and dismissed from Trinity College as a result of anti-war writings in 1916. Also, at one point my passport was denied, so I wasn't able to lecture in Harvard. Dude, in 1918 I was put in jail for 5 months for writing about anti-war. Why do these people love war so much? Okay, in 1922 I ran for parliament again. I honestly thought I had it this time, then I lost again. Oh, I also lost the next year too. Ha ha ha, life's the best. A lot of years later, until 1938, I was appointed visiting professor of philosophy at Chicago. The year after, I did the same thing at the University of California in Los Angeles. In 1940, I was apparently morally unfit to teach at the City College, New York, so my appointment there was revoked. Too many complications to talk about. In 1949, I won the Order of Merit Award. I was also elected as a lifetime fellow at Cambridge. Then, the year afterwards, I was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. I was so happy. I did some work with my friend Albert Einstein in 1955 called the Russell-Einstein Manifesto. He passed away that same year, unfortunately. In 1958, I became founding president of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. Yeah, I don't really like nuclear warfare. I went to jail since I protested over an anti-nuclear demonstration in London. The judge planned to release me from jail if, and only if, I pledged myself to good behavior, in which I replied, no, I won't. In 1963, I established the Bertrand Russell Peace Foundation in order to carry my work for peace, human rights, and social justices. I launched the International War Crimes Tribunal along with several others in 1967. I investigated and evaluated American foreign policy and military intervention in Vietnam. Yeah, I also died on February the 2nd in 1970. It was really unfortunate. However, I'm speaking to you guys right now, therefore I am alive. Ha! Go Emisera! Alright, that's the story of my life, but I'll just tell you about my philosophy anyway. It's analytical philosophy. Haha, get it? Lit? Got him again! Anyway, analytical philosophy is a method of reasoning in which it involves language, logic, and mathematics altogether. It applies to the theory of knowledge because it is a way of justifying so-called true belief by analyzing the language that is used and the logic behind it. Now, let's put it into action. A good example to use is this physics problem. A 45.8 gram golf ball is driven from the tee with an initial speed of 50.4 meters per second and rises to a height of 29.6 meters. Neglect air resistance and determine the kinetic energy of the ball at its highest point. This is a good problem to use because it involves the understanding of a problem through its language, logic, and mathematics. Okay, on to the problem. Given that the ball rises to a height of 29.6, we can find the initial y velocity of the ball because we can already assume its final velocity, or its velocity at the top, is 0 because of the acceleration of gravity on the ball. So now we can use this formula in order to find the initial velocity of the ball, since we already know its final velocity, which is 0. So its final velocity would be 0. Initial velocity is what we're solving for. And the acceleration is the acceleration of gravity, which is negative 9.81 meters per second squared, times displacement of y, which would be 29.6 meters. So the initial y velocity would be 24.1 meters per second. And the reason why we're finding this is because the path of the ball goes this way. And then, so this would be the top of the ball, which is 29.6 meters. And so, since we already have the speed of the ball, which is 50.4 meters per second, and now we just found the initial y velocity of the ball, which is 24.1 meters per second. So now, using Pythagorean theorem, we can find this missing x velocity. And Pythagorean theorem would be 50.4 meters per second squared minus 24.1 meters per second squared, which would equal the x velocity squared. So now we just need to square root all of that. And so the x velocity would be 44.26 meters per second. Okay. And then now, since we have the x velocity of the ball, since there's no air resistance, the ball will continue traveling from left to right at a constant speed of 44.26 meters per second, while as the ball goes up through this path right here, its y velocity will eventually get to 0 as it reaches the top. And so since we're trying to find the speed it has whenever it reaches the top, its only speed it has will be 44.26 meters because the y velocity will be 0, but the ball continues to move left to right. So then this would be our speed that we use. And we're going to use this in the formula for kinetic energy. And the formula for kinetic energy is 1/2 mass times velocity squared. Okay. And so now the kinetic energy for the ball at the top of the parabola, 29.6 meters, would be 44.86 joules. Oh yeah, that's my life story. Oh!
Oh, wait, you done? Oh.
Yeah.
Can you give me the push?
Yeah, dude.